Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, there's a witness.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm as the case may be that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or competency of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Michael Buton Jr., last name Beauton.
And your affiliation?
I'm a sergeant with the Connecticut State Police.
Sergeant Buton, you may be seated.
Thank you.
Sergeant Buton, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sergeant, how long have you been employed with the state police?
Approximately 16 years.
What were some of your initial assignments with the state police?
I started my career with the state police in November of 2007. I attended the training academy for approximately 7 months. We were trained in criminal investigation, accident investigation, firearms, emergency vehicle operations, etc. Tested on those subjects. Graduated in May of 2008. I was assigned to Troop G in Bridgeport as a patrol trooper, where I spent about 10 years as a trooper there. I had some ancillary duties during my time there. I was a patrol canine handler. Who was cross-trained in narcotics detection. Was also a member of the State Police Tactical Unit. Tactical operator and assistant team leader on the West TAC team. 2018 is when I was transferred to Western District Major Crime as a detective, when I was stationed at the Troop G office in Bridgeport.
Prior to becoming a state police officer, did you serve in a branch of the United States military?
I did.
Which branch, sir?
I was in the United States Marine Corps.
And did you serve in any wars?
I did.
Which war?
Spent a little bit of time in Afghanistan, and I was deployed with the infantry in a combat tour to Fallujah, Iraq.
What years were you with the United States Marines?
2001 to 2006.
Directing your attention now to May of 2019, what unit of the state police were you assigned to?
In May of 2019, I was a detective assigned to the Western District Major Crime Squad.
Have you since ascended to becoming a sergeant?
Yes, I have.
What year did that take place?
I was promoted to sergeant April of 2022.
Are you still with the Western District Major Crime?
No, I'm not.
Where are you currently assigned?
Presently assigned as a detective sergeant with Central District Major Crime Squad. I supervise the Troop H CI office in Hartford.
And just for the jury's benefit, when you say CI office, what does CI stand for?
Criminal investigation.
I want to direct your attention now to May 28th, 2019, a Tuesday. Did you become involved in the Farber Dulos investigation?
Yes, I did.
How did you learn about this case?
From a phone call from my supervisor.
Where did you report on May 28th, 2019?
That morning, I reported to the New Canaan Police Department.
Why did you report to the New Canaan Police Department?
So we were assisting the New Canaan Police with a missing persons investigation. And since they were the primary for the case, we worked out of their police department. The crime scene was in New Canaan. The person who was missing resided in New Canaan. So the command staff at the time felt that that was the best place to work from. So that's why we were there.
Approximately how many troopers and New Canaan police personnel were working out of the police department when you arrived on May 28th?
Quite a few.
Were you given any specific tasks on that day?
Yes, I was.
What types of tasks were you given?
So myself and Detective Sergeant Duba went over to 69 Wells Lane, and we went into the 3-bay garage. I was assigned by Sergeant Petruska to take photographs of the shelving units that were in the, I guess you'd call it the 3rd garage bay. So if you're facing the bays, there are 3, it'd be the far right bay. So I took photographs of the shelves, and the purpose of those photographs were to then interview the nanny of the family for the children down in New York City. And we wanted to show her those pictures to see if she could identify any items that may be out of place or missing, or that she didn't recognize. So that was the purpose of those photographs.
If I were to show you those photographs, would you recognize them, sir?
Yes, I would.
For the record, Your Honor, we're projecting State's Exhibit 16, which is a disc. Apologize, Your Honor, we're just waiting for the disc to load. And I'm going to ask, if we could begin with item number 3 in that disc. Sergeant Buton, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is that photograph of, sir?
That is a photograph of a couple of the shelving units in the right garage bay located at 69 Wells Lane, New Canaan.
Is that one of the photographs that you took when you went to 69 Wells Lane?
Yes, it is.
And I'm just going to ask if we can call up item number 4 now. Could you just indicate to the jury what we're looking at here?
So this photograph is also of the shelving units that were in the garage. It's a little over from the other photograph, and it just depicts some sporting goods and Tupperware containers and some other items.
Thank you. Did you ultimately go to New York City?
Yes,
What day?
the same day.
Who, if anyone, went to New York City with you?
Detective Ryan Frechette.
What borough of New York City did you go to?
So we were in Manhattan on Park Avenue for one of the stops. I don't recall the other borough.
Specifically with respect to Miss Almeida.
It was in Manhattan.
And did you meet with her?
We did.
Approximately for how long did you meet with Miss Almeida?
I don't remember for how long. I'd have to look at my report to see. I know there's a recording of our interview with her.
Did you show her photographs of the garage that you had taken?
Yes,
And did she provide you with a statement?
she did.
After meeting with Miss Almeida on May 28th, did you perform additional tasks for the case that week?
Yes.
Describe to the jury some of the things that you did.
So we looked for video footage. We canvassed some of the areas in New Canaan to try to find video. And specifically Friday, May the 31st, I was tasked with going up to the Capital City Command Center to review some video footage with one of the intel analysts up there from items that had been recovered the night prior by the Central District Major Crime Squad. The purpose of me going up there was to ensure that nothing was missed.
Who gave you that assignment?
That was Detective Sergeant Ventresca.
And when you say the purpose of your visit was to ensure that nothing had been missed, had someone already reviewed the C4 footage at that point?
Yes, to my understanding, they had.
Approximately what time of day did you arrive at C4?
It was midday, late morning, early afternoon.
And upon arrival at C4, which incidentally stands for Capital City Command Center, correct?
That is correct.
Who, if anyone, did you meet with?
I can remember meeting with a gentleman by the name of Josh Quint, who was an intelligence analyst with the Harvard Police Department.
And when you met with Josh Quint, what did you do?
So he began to take me through some of the footage that they had found using the computer program that they have. They're able to find certain vehicles of a type and color, as I understand it. And so those folks were given the types of vehicles that we were interested in that were associated with Mr. Dulos. And so they ended up finding a black, what appeared to be a black Ford Raptor pickup truck traveling along Albany Avenue, where Mr. Dulos had discarded several items in the city trash receptacles. So he began to show me some of that footage.
And did you have a description of Mr. Dulos prior to arriving at C4?
Yes.
And did you also have a description of someone named Michelle Troconis?
Yes, I did.
Do you see Michelle Troconis in the courtroom?
Yes, I do.
Could you point her out and tell us what article of clothing she's wearing, a shirt, color shirt?
She is seated on my right side of the table over there. She's wearing what appears to be a blue coat and a green sweater.
Judge, you identified the defendant. What was the general description of Michelle Troconis that you had?
I didn't see any
Your
photo.
Honor, hearsay?
Well, what was the general description? Well, it's offered to show, as the court hears it, what to look for,
That's right.
so overruled.
What was the general description you had of Michelle Troconis?
I didn't have a photograph of her, but I was told that she was middle-aged, tall, slender, and had brown hair.
And have you since had a chance to meet with the defendant in person?
Yes,
And did she match that general description?
she did.
As you were reviewing the C4 footage, did you review any video in which it appeared that an object consistent with a WeatherTech liner was displayed?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. The video speaks for itself. The jury has now seen it multiple times. That's a leading question. It also assumes facts not in evidence, and I ask that it be stricken.
Well, the question was, did you review the video and see what would be described as a WeatherTech mat? Well, that's leading. The jury has seen the video, but the court is not certain that the jury could conclude that what came out of that vehicle was a WeatherTech mat. So as far as a leading question is concerned, the court will sustain the objection.
Did you review video in which someone, well, strike that. Did you also have a description of Mr. Dulos?
Yes, I did.
And what was that general description?
Also the same, middle-aged, white male, average height and build.
And did you review video in which Mr. Dulos had objects in his hands?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Nobody's identified the video individual at this point, so it's not only leading, but it's assuming facts not in it.
I'll rephrase. Did you review video in which someone who matched the general description of Mr. Dulos that you had been provided had objects in his hands?
Yes, I did.
And can you describe for the jury in general terms what type of objects you viewed in this individual's hands?
Again, Your Honor, the jury has seen the video. It's not proper for this witness to editorialize about what's in the video. He can certainly testify to what he did, but to let him describe it is, I suggest, some of the jury on their own can figure that out.
Well, the court disagrees that the jury on its own can figure that out. It is not clear that the jury could figure out that what was held was a WeatherTech mat. The jury can figure out what a garbage bag looks like, but the court is going to overrule the objection.
You may answer, sir.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question for me?
Did someone who matched the general description of Mr. Dulos have any objects in his hand, and can you describe what objects you viewed?
Yes, so several. I observed the individual take what appeared to be contractor-style black garbage bags from the rear of his vehicle. What I would describe to be a square or rectangular black rubber mat, consistent with being like a floor liner or something like that.
Let's just stop there for just 1 second. If we can call up, I'm just going to ask my colleague. This is States 36. just going to ask that we pause it right there for just one moment. Sergeant Butin, is this the C4 footage that you reviewed?
Yes, it is.
Just pause it for 1 second. We're just going to pause that for 1 second. Is this the male that you were referencing earlier that matched the general description of Mr. Dulos?
Yes, it is.
Pause that for 1 second. Just going to pause it there. Sergeant Butin, you testified earlier that you observed this male holding what appeared to be a rubber mat. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is this the object that you were referring to?
Yes, it is.
Again, Your Honor, I just want to make clear, I'm objecting. This is lay opinion, it's speculation. There's no, from this, you could certainly not tell what material it's made out of. It's irrelevant. And I also just would throw in that it's a characterization of a video. This is not firsthand. So, and finally, this is, I would say, a violation of the Code of Evidence 4-3.
Well, the court, based on the video and the objection, would pose a question. Sergeant Butin, did you find out later that that was a square or rectangular rubber mat? Or did you determine that just from this video that that was a square rectangular rubber mat?
So it appears to me, just based on the video, Your Honor, but I also had knowledge of the fact that there was one missing.
Well, again, it's now.
Well, the answer is, it appears that way, but I took other things into consideration. That's the answer, which suggests to this court that the video alone does not suggest that this is a black square rubber mat. The video alone, according to this witness, he did not conclude on the video alone that that was a WeatherTech mat. So you may proceed.
Yeah, and just to be clear, you're not 100% sure what that is, correct?
Absolutely not.
You're testifying it's consistent with what
Again,
appears to be.
Well,
Can I
that's a
finish my question?
mischaracterization. It appeared to him to be a black rectangular mat. He had other information that led him to believe it was a WeatherTech mat. That's the testimony.
It appeared to be consistent with a rubber
That
mat.
court is indicating it's sustaining the objection.
You can finish playing it. Are you familiar with something known as WeatherTech liner?
Yes, I am.
What is WeatherTech liner?
They're laser cut floor liners. I actually own a pair myself. The company is here in the United States, and they basically make custom floor liners for a multitude of different vehicles, makes, models, and years and whatnot. They make front and rear floor liners, utility area liners, seat covers, etc. And the commercials are all over TV.
And what material are WeatherTech liners made out of?
A black rubber material, or a hardened plastic, I guess would probably be a better description. But the mats in the back are more rubber. I think the floor liners where your feet go are harder, but the ones for the back are a little more flexible, I guess is how I describe them.
And when you say in the back, what area of the vehicle are you referring to?
The
Your
cargo
Honor,
area.
I'm going to object foundation, the fact that he might own an SUV or might know something about it, it's irrelevant. And he's not an expert in this area. He doesn't work for the WeatherTech or any other company that installs mats. So therefore, I would argue that this is not appropriate question.
Well, the question has to do with what does WeatherTech manufacture? That's how the court understands the question. And if he's familiar with, this witness is familiar with what WeatherTech manufactures, the court will allow the testimony. So overruled.
When you mention the back, what area of the vehicle are you referring to?
The cargo area, the utility area, the back of an SUV behind the seats.
Did there come a point in time where you reviewed additional surveillance footage in which the person who appeared to be the same male operator discarded additional items?
Yes.
Can you describe that for the jury?
Yes. So the final stop that the individual appearing to be Mr. Dulos made was on Albany Avenue in front of a Jamaican bakery, I believe at the intersection of Blue Hills Avenue. He exited his vehicle with what appeared to be maybe a pile of papers or something.
Again, Your Honor,
I don't know what it was.
I'm objecting. What appears, again, is the same thing. If it's
Well-
not recovered,
Well, he just indicated he did not know what it was. So perhaps you did not hear that part of his response. He said it appears to be paper. I don't know what it was, is what he said. He exited his vehicle with, I don't know what it was. That's the testimony.
So
That's overruled.
So he exited the vehicle with unknown objects, something in his hands. I just couldn't make out what. And he walked over to the trash receptacle and he discarded whatever that unknown object or group of objects were. However, another object remained in his hand that he did not discard in the garbage. And at C4, they have very large screen TVs, much like this one, and they can zoom in. And when we zoomed in, Mr. Quinton and myself were of the opinion that it looked
objection.
Well, sustained.
When you zoomed in, were you able to see the colors of the object discarded in the sewer more clearly?
yes.
Can you describe to the jury what color the object was?
So the object overall looked white, and we saw like orange and blue on the object. And I could say what that, to me, that looked like. That
No, that's all right.
okay.
Now, actually, we're just, if we could play that portion of the video. We could pause it right there. Sergeant Butin, I just want to direct your attention now to the vehicle itself. Does it appear as though a female passenger has exited the vehicle at this
I'm
point?
going to object. First of all, it's a mischaracterization. Nobody's exited it. And second of all, we're again having him characterize what's on the video that all of these jurors can see. I would submit that under State versus Holly, it's improper for a lay witness to narrate a video when he wasn't present for the incident.
So if I can just be heard on this, Your Honor, and if I have to be heard at sidebar, I will, but I'd like to make an offer of proof to the court.
Well, the question is, does it appear to you as if a female is exiting the Raptor? That's the question. So does it appear to you that a female passenger is exiting the Raptor? Well, the question itself, you can be heard, counsel, the question itself is an interpretive narrative. What the court and the jury is able to see is a door open, someone leaning out of that door. The issue of whether it's a female and whether she's exiting in the common sense of exiting as in getting out of the vehicle, according to this video, would be a mischaracterization.
I'll rephrase, Judge.
So
Can you just, at this point, the video is paused. Can you, directing your attention now to the individual just above the male operator, can you describe that individual for the jury?
Again, Your Honor, I think the image speaks for itself, and this witness is not in any better position than the jurors to see what's in the video.
Well,
In fact, maybe
you can sharpen the question, counsel. Can you describe the individual? What is seen here? You cannot tell height or weight. So what can be described from what is on the video is fairly limited. If that's the video from which you are asking the question.
It is, Your Honor. I'm just simply asking him to describe what he's observing on the video.
Well, what the court is going to do is listen to the description and entertain any objections after that.
Could you describe the individual above the male operator?
Yes. So it appears to be a white female. Looks like wearing a short sleeve shirt, and it's kind of hard to tell, but maybe her hair is in a ponytail. And I could see at least one of her feet on the sidewalk, and her right hand appears to be reaching down toward the brick or pavement.
Was this the only time that you observed a female with this particular male individual in the surveillance footage?
On this footage, yes.
You can keep playing. Sergeant Butin, where on Albany Avenue is this particular trash receptacle and store located?
I believe the address is 1344 Albany Avenue. It's at the intersection of Blue Hills.
Based on what you saw on this video, can you describe for the jury what actions you took?
Yes. So as I stated earlier, the individual appearing to be Mr. Dulos threw some items.
I'm going to
or
object.
an
The
item out.
question was, what did you do next? And instead, he's giving another narrative.
Well, the question is, well, what did you do after reviewing the video? And he began by saying, the individual who appeared to be Mr. Dulos, this is preliminary, as the court hears it, overruled.
The fact that I observed that individual throw those things out in the trash receptacle, but choose to discard whatever the other object was down the storm drain was interesting to me. And I wanted to try to recover whatever that was. And so I inquired with the C4 folks about who maintained the storm drain and who we would use to assist us in recovering that item. And the answer I was given was MDC, which is the Metropolitan District Control, or the water authority essentially for the greater Hartford area. They sent out a pump truck to us out on the street.
Let me ask you another question.
Sure.
Did you head to this area of Albany Avenue?
Yes.
Approximately how long did it take you to arrive?
I don't remember.
Was it within the hour, would you say?
Yes.
And who, if anyone, from the state police met you at this location?
Detective Fitzsimons, Detective Zella, who was on the dive team, Trooper Sanders, Trooper Chapman, also divers. I had divers come just because I didn't know what we were going to encounter, if we were going to need them to go down there, or if the pump truck was going to be able to facilitate removing the item. A lot of unknowns, so I was just trying to think outside the box and bring whatever resources I knew we had available to the area.
And you indicated that MDC showed up with a pump truck, is that correct?
That's correct.
And once MDC arrived with the pump truck, what happened next?
Detective Zella and myself basically told them to empty out the truck. They had relayed to us that they were pumping out other drains that day. And we wanted to ensure that the tank itself was empty, so that if whatever was down there maybe was sucked up the hose, we'd be able to empty out the back and definitively say that whatever was in the tank came from that particular storm drain.
Did the MDC truck leave at that point?
Yes,
Did it eventually return?
it did.
Approximately how long did it take to return?
Maybe a half an hour or so.
And during this half hour, did you remain at that location with your fellow state police officers?
I left quickly to meet up with the search and rescue canines. I gave them a map so they could begin to search the area of Albany and Milford. The footage depicted that black Raptor turning onto Milford Street and disappearing for some time before it came back out into the view on Albany Ave. So I got the search and rescue canines into that area so that they could begin to search that area. And after I met with them, I came back to the area of the storm drain.
And were you present when the MDC truck arrived?
Yes.
Do you recall how many employees from MDC responded?
2, I believe.
When they arrived, what steps did they take in your presence?
They had showed us the back. They opened it up, showed us it was empty, closed it. They removed the grate from the storm drain. They had like a big hook that they put down there and pulled it out. They lowered a hose down into the storm drain where all the water was, and they turned on their truck and started to suck out water.
As they were sucking out water, can you describe what happened next?
Yes, the envelope actually got stuck to their equipment, and they were able to pull it out like that.
All right, I want to just break this down a little bit. You say the envelope. Can you describe what you heard as they were sucking water out of the sewer?
Yeah, it was like a clink. It was like a clink noise.
And after you heard the clink noise, what did you see next?
As they began to lift their equipment up, you could see that there was an envelope, like a FedEx envelope, that was coming up out of the water with their equipment. And Detective Fitzsimons had gloved hands, and he reached in and recovered the envelope and put it over by the sidewalk, opened it up. And when he opened it up to pull out the contents, we saw 2 Connecticut license plates in the envelope.
Were photographs taken of those license plates?
Yes.
May I have this marked for identification, Your Honor?
What number? Well, not yet, but yes.
40 for identification. I did provide Attorney Schoenwald with a copy. I don't know if there's any objection.
No objection.
Thank you.
Move it in as a full exhibit.
40 admitted as a full exhibit.
And I'm just going to begin with displaying a photograph labeled 683_0001. Sergeant Butin, do you recognize that photograph, sir?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the jury what that photograph is?
That photograph is a picture of the white envelope that was recovered from the storm drain on Albany and Blue Hills on
And did
Friday, May 31st.
Did you witness this envelope in the position it is in this photograph?
Yes,
Showing you photograph labeled 683_0002. Are those the license plates?
yes, they are.
And did you view these license plates in their position as
Yes,
they are in this photograph?
yes,
And this is photograph 03 in that file. These are the same license plates, is that correct?
yes, sir.
Photograph number 4. Same license plates, correct?
Yes.
Actually, if we could just leave that up for 1 second. The license plate here reads 5T6WBU, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
While you were present, were any efforts made by state police personnel to run these license plates?
Yes.
What were the results when these license plates were run?
I called into dispatch and ran them as they are, and they came back to nothing.
When you say they came back to nothing, what does that mean?
It means there was no record found, meaning no such plates existed in the Connecticut DMV database.
And so after you received notification that no such plates existed, did you notice anything about the sequence of the letters and numbers themselves?
Well, yeah, we noticed that they were a bit odd. Typically, plates that were issued out like that were would start with 3 numbers and then end with 3 letters. And obviously here you have a letter mixed in with the numbers. So that was odd to us. And to Detective Fitzsimon's credit, he actually, with his gloved hand, started to mess around with some of the characters that looked funny to us. And that's when we realized there was some effort made to alter their appearance.
And when you say that there was some effort made to alter their appearance, can you be a little bit more descriptive for the jury?
Yeah, yes. So if I may, can I?
Yes, sir.
So this T here, when Detective Fitzsimon's messed around with it, we could see that the top portion actually wasn't the plate itself. It was some type of blue tape with like a clear adhesive. That's the best way I could describe it. So this character is actually a 1. The same here, this was needed to be a B, but it's actually a D. And then here we have what is supposed to be a J with the extra material added to make it appear to be a U.
So were you able to discern what the actual plate numbers and letters were?
Yes,
And was a subsequent search done for those particular plates?
yes, it was.
Who did that?
I did.
And what were the results, sir?
So I called dispatch back and ran the plates the correct way. And they came back canceled on a 2007 Chevy Suburban that was registered to Mr. Dulos.
May I have this marked for identification?
Yeah.
I think it's a full exhibit by agreement.
Yes, I just want to make sure what's in the envelope is what I think is in the envelope before we do that. That's my only. I don't want to be surprised, so if I can just see what's in there.
Sure, would you like Detective Beaton's?
Oh, yeah, why don't we just leave it for ID for a moment? I probably won't have any objection. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing.
Thank you.
Detective Buton. Better pair. Detective Buton, did you seize those license plates?
Yes,
And how were those license plates seized?
I put them into a bag and secured them in the trunk of my cruiser.
And if I were to show you license plates, would you recognize them?
Yes, I would.
You have some gloves in front of you, sir. Oh, very good. So at this point, I'm just going to ask, well, firstly, let me ask a preliminary question. There is evidence tape on this particular exhibit, is that correct?
Yes,
And there's also what appears to be numbers DSS 19002984. That's the state laboratory number, is that correct?
that's correct.
So these license plates have been sent to the state lab since you seized them, is that fair to say?
That would be accurate, yes.
I'm just going to ask that you cut open this envelope and just peer inside and tell us what you see.
Okay. Two Connecticut license plates that
Is there anything else in the bag, sir?
have to open it up a little more to see, sorry. Yes, there is.
What else is in the bag?
It's a white FedEx envelope that the plates were in.
Are these the objects that you seized on May 31st, 2019?
Yes, they are.
Judge, I move it in.
I need to see what else is in the bag. I just don't want to bring extra gloves or pen.
There are.
We just maybe do it over here on the side. Yeah. have no objection to looking out at these other items that were in there will have to be to a different witness. So, as long as those are kept separate, I'm fine.
And that states 40?
This is states 40, Judge, and just for the record, there are several smaller envelopes which we're going to tie up through another witness. Attorney Schoenberg is asking that we do so. I have no objection to that. However, I do want to keep everything together at this point. So these can be labeled perhaps, 40A through, 41A for identification purposes only, and we just keep everything together for the time being.
So states 40 will be admitted as a full exhibit.
41, Judge.
41 will be admitted as a full exhibit. 41A is for ID purposes only.
Correct. Actually, there's several of them. So we'll just label them A through.
How many are there?
7. A through G. So 41A through G for ID only.
41A through G, identification purposes only. Well, it's about 3:33. We're going to stand in our afternoon recess, ladies and gentlemen. Please do not discuss the case. We shall return at
No, that went fast.
43. I'm sorry, 3:48.
All rise. This honorable Superior Court now stands in recess until 3:48. Even as the court.
And long breaks, but I wanted to show a bit from the treehouse trial. They only had a half-day session today, and I just wanted to show the last bit. I watched a little of it during the lunch hour and went, oh, this is gold. We're going to have to watch that because the defendant, Tucker, is a pro se defendant, and it's just not wise to represent yourself when you've got something serious on the line like that. And he's just not competent. So let me go over to that tab. I'm hearing just a bit of a echo. Let me take a. Okay, something wasn't muted. Okay, here we go. This is wrong tab. Okay, here we go. This is Franklin Tyrone Tucker in the treehouse murder. Now, I understand that they already convicted one or more participants in the case. The getaway driver was the main witness for the state, and he received a deal. So here we go. Maybe we jump forward a tad. Oh, okay, here we go.
well, we're going to move on with this trial to the next phase because it's completely unacceptable. The fact that Friday, we've got only the problematic Zoom on Paul at Belmont. Today, we have nobody else.
Your
It's
Honor,
not going to happen that way anymore.
Your Honor, can I please speak for a second?
Yes, sir. You did not offer one explanation
Well, I'm trying to.
legitimate as to why your supposed witnesses weren't
I will
here.
literally, if you'll give me just a second, I can go ahead and.
Yes,
explain.
sir.
Okay, first off, we were given 4 weeks when I had attorneys, Your Honor.
That was an outer limit. It wasn't not so we
Okay,
could take
and no, I'm
lengthy
not planning on it,
breaks.
and I'm not planning on it. I just cut my witness list down so that we could make sure that it's going to be timely, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no way of knowing how fast transport's going to bring Todd O'Quinn from the prison.
I can tell you they're not going to be bringing him any time during the course of this trial, unless you've got a order to transport ahead of time,
Well, and-
which I haven't been presented with one.
Well, and the thing is, okay, well, that's, Your Honor, that's why I also wanted to defer to the court's opinion on this, because, okay, if I can get them via Zoom, that negates that. But I mean, Zoom was problematic, I admit, right? So I didn't think Your Honor would want to go for another Zoom hearing. But at the same time, he is an important witness in this case.
Well, sir, whatever provisions you've made, that's fine. And
I
if you
mean-
haven't made proper provisions ahead of time, well, then it's
Well,
on you. So in any
and
event,
Your Honor,
I really not interested in hearing more
well, I had
excuses
one
right
other,
now,
no, I
sir.
had one other thing.
I'm not interested in hearing it. I'm telling you
It
that
has
2
nothing to do
days
with-
in a row, we've had trial time, we've had representations, you'd have people here,
Your
and
Honor.
you didn't. So, Mr. Mansfield, what did the state want to bring up? Because we'll
Judge, the defendant has advised us that he plans on calling Seth LeVay. Seth LeVay was supposed to be here today. He's not here. He has proffered to us that his purpose in calling Seth LeVay is to authenticate the motion to suppress that the defendant believes will then be admissible in front of this jury. I submit to this court that it doesn't work that way. That written motion is hearsay. Even if Seth LeVay takes a stand and says, yes, I wrote this at the request of my client, it is hearsay. Anything contained with it is hearsay and makes it inadmissible. There is no sworn statements of Travis Johnson in that motion. Not to mention, anything that Seth LeVay gathered from his client is privileged communication. And again, Seth LeVay is not at liberty to discuss or to publish that. So I believe that us waiting around for tomorrow for Seth LeVay to come down here is going to be a waste of time, because we are moving to strike him as a witness, because I believe that anything he'll testify to is not going to be admissible.
613, Your Honor.
Not to mention, he's no longer under subpoena. So that's the first problem. The second problem is he's mentioned this Todd O'Quinn. Your Honor's already touched on it. There's been no transport order. There's been nothing, no provisions made. Todd O'Quinn is not going to be here. The next witness, he says Tom Walker, the investigator that did the IA investigation. I've already proffered to the court that I believe that most of that's going to be inadmissible, because the IA investigator who investigated these allegations of impropriety in this investigation occurred years after this crime. Again, what I believe he's going to testify to is going to be inadmissible in this trial. His subpoena ended last Friday, so he's no longer under subpoena either. So my question to the court is we closing tomorrow because I need to be prepared, or is there something that's going to be presented that will be admissible? That's where we're at. The defendant indicated to us on the break that after Seth LeVay in the morning, he's got Chad Sabilla coming in the afternoon. So let's say that for whatever reason, Seth LeVay does come down here and we start up at 9 o'clock. And by 9:15, we're done with Seth LeVay. And then what are we going to do? Wait 6 hours for Chad Sabilla to come in? These are the delays that Your Honor has come out and touched upon them, but these are the delays that the state wanted to talk to the court about. We believe this defendant is holding these proceedings hostage. This is becoming ridiculous. The defendant had plenty of time over the weekend to post and open up a new YouTube channel and post all about it.
Who did
So
that?
It's not.
I want evidence of that.
So here we are today, and he's not prepared with his witnesses. Todd O'Quinn is at Martin Correctional Facility. He's not going to be here.
5 hours. That's what it is. Your Honor, I want some evidence of what he just alleged against me.
It's just argument. It doesn't frankly
Anyway.
affect me. What does affect me in terms of this case is what I consider a motion in limine regarding Seth LeVay, what I consider a motion in limine regarding Tom Walker. So we can get to that.
Your Honor,
But in any event, so what now? What did you want to say, sir?
well, Your Honor, to be quite frank, I'm going to go ahead and file a motion to disqualify tonight. So we're going to have to consider that.
That's fine.
Okay.
You can,
I mean, that pretty much ends the conversation right here, doesn't it?
no, sir, not at all.
I mean, because look, I am doing my best to make sure my witnesses are here,
Sir,
right? But I'll tell you what, it's not exactly easy when first off, I have to go through the clerk, which they don't have to do. But not only that, we did go over and we had overlap, Your Honor. That is the way it is. Now, I just confirmed my witnesses, right? Now, they want to say that Tom Walker, because they're thinking I'm going to go to, see, this is the thing. They're thinking I'm going to go, to that. But no, there's been evidence that has been tampered with, and we need to figure out which ones. Tom Walker has that knowledge. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, I don't know which videos have been tampered with. I don't know which ones, haven't been. I don't have that list. Tom Walker does. I know a lot of them have been. I mean, Lord knows I can't use my own interview video. It's been chopped into what, 60 pieces, 70 pieces?
why isn't Tom Walker here today, as you said he would be on Friday?
Because, Your Honor, like I said, like he just said, my subpoena had run out. And like I said, I had to reissue my subpoenas. And yes, I went ahead and clarified it with everybody just now, again, to make sure that no, there is no further delays. Now, as far as Todd O'Quinn got in touch with me this weekend, right? Now, okay, I had trouble figuring out which facility he was in at first because they moved him. That's a problem. Then the other problem is they put him with Rory Wilson. How'd that happen?
Who knows? And it's
I mean,
irrelevant to what we're doing here.
It's relevant if all of a sudden I don't have a witness,
Yeah.
No, they're sitting right here because I just decided. I was like, okay, which ones am I going to narrow down? And I did want to talk to the court, but apparently the court doesn't want to talk to me, which is why I need to make a motion to disqualify.
Sir, I believe we're having a hearing right now. I'm just expressing my concern about your ineptitude, your
Your Honor.
Sir, again, you're speaking over me.
Okay.
Your inordinate, inappropriate delay of the proceedings. If this wasn't a lawyer, it would not be tolerated. I've been over backwards to accommodate you, but we've reached the limit. I'm not going to be sending this jury home for half days anymore. You're either ready to go or we move on to the next stage of the proceedings.
I'll have my motion ready for you tomorrow.
Sir, that is not relevant to what we're doing now or what I expect to happen.
I know what the law
tomorrow.
says.
Okay, that's fine, sir. So do I. But like I said, that doesn't affect what we're addressing now. And as far as Seth LeVay is concerned, what is it that you expect him to testify to? Because if it's nothing more than saying, yeah, that's the motion to suppress that I filed.
Well, and he's also willing to say that, yes, his client did put say that his confessions were false. It literally says it right on the outside of the document, Your Honor. And it literally says inside the document, those are all previous inconsistencies. That's 613 all day.
Any more argument from the state? Because if that's what you're calling him for, I'm granting the motion. None of that is admissible. None of that
How?
is. Sir, I'm not going to start teaching you a law class now.
I mean-
that is a motion. Mr. LeVay cannot invade the attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
What he alleges in the motion is not admissible. So the fact that you don't have him here is
Your Honor.
yet another problem, which you said you would. But regardless, I'm granting the state's motion.
Your Honor,
to
you're
strike.
saying I can't take a previously inconsistent statement, put it in front of Mr. Johnson and say, did you say this?
I am saying Mr. Johnson's attorney's unsworn motion doesn't consist of a previous inconsistent statement. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And nor can you ask Mr. LeVay what his client told him. Those are all clearly inadmissible. So the motion to strike LeVay is granted. So in any event.
In any event, Your Honor.
Yes.
I will go ahead and I have my list for tomorrow. I have my list for the next day. But again, if I file that motion, there is going to be no tomorrow.
Sir, you can file whatever motion you want, but your understanding of that particular motion, is what it is. I will make an appropriate ruling and we'll go from there. But in any event,
I guess we'll see.
so in any event, what else did the state? I don't expect closings tomorrow. But like I said, what I do expect is if Mr. Tucker does not have witnesses under subpoena, witness evidence ready to go, or witnesses standing by, I'm not sending this jury home anymore. We're going to proceed because that is not the way a trial is conducted. I've been more than indulgent in terms of giving him every opportunity. And so whatever you want to present or intend to present, I'd have it lined up, sir. So
That's fine, Your Honor. It's like I said, but I guess we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? All right. So we'll be here at 9 o'clock and we'll go from there.
Okay, that was that. Looks like they're taking their places. I just love listening to
We can bring Sergeant Butin back in.
Yes, sir.
pro se litigant getting put in their place.
We can bring the jury in, please. Will counsel stipulate, please?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you.
Handing you what's been entered as evidence. States. I'm just going to ask that you take out the license plates and the FedEx envelope.
Okay.
So I'm going to just begin with the license plate, which is on top there. The license plate itself, first of all, can you display it for the jury? Now, the license plate that we're seeing, which has been introduced to evidence of State's Exhibit 41, has the adhesive that you saw on May 31st been removed?
Yes, it has.
And that was obviously done subsequent to your seizure, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And can you just display the next plate also? And similar situation, the adhesive that you had discussed earlier has been removed, is that correct?
Yes.
And just going to ask if you could just fan out the FedEx envelope for the jury as well. sir. Can you just please go back and now go to the-
Before we proceed, we would ask the photographer during the course of the testimony, please return to the designated area.
Returning states 41 to the clerk. Sergeant Buton, are those the items that you seized from the sword drain on Albany Avenue on May 31st, 2019?
Yes, they are.
And did you subsequently turn over those items to Detective Matthew Riley of the State Police?
Yes.
If I just have a moment, Judge.
Yes.
Nothing additional at this time, Your Honor.
In cross-examination,
Thank you. These license plates, Exhibit 41, you indicated that it came back to a vehicle that had been owned by Fotis Dulos, correct?
Yes, sir.
And as I understand it, that was a 2007 Chevy Suburban, is that correct?
That is correct.
That Chevy Suburban and these license plates, let me withdraw that and ask it a different way. The license plates had been canceled for many years, correct?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
The Chevy Suburban had not been registered to Mr. Dulos or his company for many years, correct?
That's accurate. Yes.
At least, you said at least since 2015, if not earlier, right?
I don't recall the exact day, but that sounds about right.
The reason I'm asking to clarify, there's been some testimony that he owned a Chevy Suburban in 2019, correct?
I believe it was a newer model. Yes, sir.
That's what I was going to get to. So that model had its own registration, right?
Correct.
And different license plates, right?
Yes.
This was a vehicle that he had owned maybe prior to 2015, if not several years earlier, right?
At least as early as 2007. Yes, sir.
Well, when it was,
It's a 2007 vehicle. So
right, but I'm saying it had ceased to be registered to him at least before 2015, correct?
I can't give you the exact year when they were canceled without looking at the teletypes, but that sounds fair enough.
Right. Well, there may be some evidence of that further down. I was just trying to remember if you recollected that when you did you said you had somebody run those plates, right?
Yes, I did.
And that would be through the Department of Motor Vehicles, right?
Well, yes, sir. So a dispatcher would use the collect system, which accesses the DMV database. Yes.
Yeah, and for the record, collect that's what it's called, COLLECT. They can look up old motor vehicle registrations, right?
Among other things. Yes, sir.
And license plates,
Yes.
and see who was the last person to have those plates registered to them, correct?
Accurate. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. When you testified that you saw a female, or that you described the video that was at that location near, I think it was Green Street, correct?
Maybe in between
Blue Hills.
Blue Hills. Yes, sir.
Blue Hills, okay. So when you described that, you said that it, I think the words you used, that it met the general description of what you understood to be Michelle Troconis, right?
Yes.
And you gave a general description of her to the jury, right?
Yes.
And you're aware that Michelle Troconis told your colleagues that was in fact her in the Ford Raptor, correct?
I am now. Yes.
And you're also aware that she told your fellow state police officers that the driver in fact was Fotis Dulos on that day, right?
As I sit here today. Yes.
Right. So when we're talking about it looks like maybe, at least my client told the police, yes, that's me and that's Fotis Dulos in that vehicle, right?
Yes, sir.
And although we've watched a number of different angles, you sat at C4 headquarters in Hartford and watched the various cameras, right?
Yes, sir.
But so that we're clear, despite the fact that there are multiple camera angles, in fact, the number of times that Fotis Dulos got out of his truck to throw something away total 3 that you can observe, correct?
I'd have to look at my reports, sir, to see. There's the intelligence analyst produced like a timeline of all the occurrences, but I can't recall how many that is right now.
Does that seem right to you?
I don't want to commit to a number without looking at the report. I'm not really sure how many exactly.
But even if we're looking at 6, 7, or 8 different angles, there aren't 7 or 8 different stops that we're looking at. In other words, each of those cameras isn't a different stop, is it?
Each of the angles that view.
Each of the cameras that we've watched is not a different stop with something being thrown away. You understand the question?
I'm not sure I understand what you're getting at. Sorry.
I'll ask it a different way. The number of times that Mr. Dulos got out and threw something away from his truck is not equal to the number of cameras that we have here in this courtroom observed. Is that a fair statement?
That would be accurate, yes.
Okay. In other words, we've seen more cameras than actual throwaway stops, right?
Well, we've seen only a few here today. I don't know what else you've seen prior to me coming on the stand, but
Well, I'm
it's
saying
what
we-
we've seen under my testimony, yes.
Fair enough. Now, as far as what we've watched since you've been here, the garbage bags that you observed being thrown away were all black garbage bags, correct?
I believe so, yes.
You also described a rolled up item, and we had some debate about what it is, but you saw it was a rolled up black thing, right?
Yes, sir.
And whatever that was, it had some kind of a white mark or white area that one could see as it's being carried over to a garbage pail that's not on the street, but next to a building, right?
Yes.
Were you able to determine what that label or white mark was?
I can only speculate. I have no idea.
Right, well, I'm saying, other than that, you weren't able to use any of your, state police camera equipment or anything to be able to zoom in, or the C4 to zoom in on what that is?
No, sir. My understanding that I think an individual took that mat away prior to it being recovered, so I don't think it was ever recovered.
Okay, well, let's back up. I'm talking about from the cameras at the time it's being carried over to the side of a building by Mr. Dulos. Were you able to zoom in or use anything to figure out what that mark, that white spot was?
No, sir.
Now, it said something that I wanted to follow up on it. I'm curious about that. You said that someone took it away. Is that right?
That's my understanding, yes.
Did you see in any of the C4 cameras that you were watching, anyone pick up that item and cart it away?
No, sir. That was information that was relayed to me by other individuals.
Well, I'm asking about you.
Me personally, no. I didn't see that.
And through all the time you spent, how many hours did you spend at the Capitol Command Center there looking at?
I don't remember specifically. It wasn't terribly long. They had reviewed the footage in detail, and what they went over with me were the stops that he made. And we kind of honed in on the last one because we knew the storm drain had not been checked. And so that was kind of my focus, if you will, was that particular stop.
Okay, fair enough. And just so we're also clear, from the video you saw, you could not tell whether that rolled up item was carpeting or plastic or rubber, or any particular material. Is that right?
It could have been anything. It could have been anything. There's no way to actually ever know unless I actually went there and put my hands on it.
And although Mr. McGinnis kept talking about WeatherTech, it could have been any brand of any kind of plastic or rubber mat, right?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Did anyone ever recover that mat?
Not to my knowledge, no.
The C4 camera continued to look in that same location, right? It was fixed at that same spot where the camera observed the Raptor pull up and something get taken out of the back and put there, right?
The camera did capture that, yes.
And did the camera continue to run for the next several days?
My understanding is those cameras run 24/7.
The time that, and when did you, just so I'm clear about the date, when did you go to the location on Albany Avenue where, with the MDC sewer pump truck?
The date,
The date.
Friday, May the 31st.
Okay, that was the day. And did you go yourself and look through any of the C4 cameras, even fast forward, to see where and when that item, rolled up item went?
No, sir, I was not assigned to do that.
I take it when you were there at that location, you didn't see it there, right?
No, sir, I did not.
Let me just have a moment. I have no further questions.
Nothing further, Judge.
Thank you, Sergeant Butin. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Judge, we will be recalling the sergeant later in the trial.
And are there any other state witnesses to be called today?
Not today, Your Honor.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded the testimony for today. And for tomorrow, Attorney McGinnis, Attorney Manning, do we have our witnesses lined up?
Your Honor, for tomorrow, yes, I have at least most of the witnesses lined up. There are a few additions that we are trying to schedule. I will let counsel know through email today once we get those concrete. Beyond that, we do have witnesses to be presented.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you are excused for today. Thank you for your patience. We will resume tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and please do not discuss the case or avoid any media about it. Thank you.
Okay, and that concludes day 7. Today it just felt like it really went fast.
Stand adjourned.
All right. This is for now, here at 10 a.m.
Okay, well, we'll do this again tomorrow, and it seems like it's really picked up. So hopefully tomorrow will be another good day, and we'll hope to see you then. Please hit the like button on your way out, and have a great afternoon and evening. Bye-bye.